So boundary disputes can be resolved in a number of ways. Initially, it can help to have some negotiation with your neighbour if you're on amicable terms, and potentially come to an agreement as to the location of the boundary if it's disputed. Generally, once an agreement is reached, a solicitor can then be instructed, if necessary, to produce what's known as a boundary agreement, which will delineate the terms of the agreement reached between you and your neighbour, and is often accompanied by a drawing of the agreed boundary, which is then reflected upon the land itself. If that's not possible, and potentially relationships between you and your neighbour have broken down, it's generally then advisable to obtain a boundary survey from a RICS registered surveyor. They will then come in, take a survey of your land and produce a report and a drawing to go with that. Surveyors can be instructed on either independent basis, which is that you are instructing the surveyor directly as an owner of one property, or together with your neighbour as what is known as a single joint expert. It's then the case that a joint report would be prepared and the parties would agree to abide by whatever that surveyor's findings were. But if you do, going back to the independent surveyor, proceed with them, then often your independent surveyor will produce a report, and often your neighbour may also instruct their own surveyor to produce a report. If there are then any differences in where those surveyors consider the boundary to be, the surveyors can then talk and outline any of those and narrow any issues between them as to the differences there. If it then proves that agreement still isn't possible, then it is possible and sometimes necessary to escalate the matter to the court to determine that further, or possibly to make an application to the land registry for them to determine the boundary themselves, which, if still agreed and objected to by your neighbour, can lead to a tribunal hearing. Again, if you require any further clarifications or assistance with progressing a boundary dispute, we're happy to help here in the dispute resolution team.